This is not going to go the way you think. Hey guys, hello gorgeous. So hell froze over and I actually went to see another movie at the theater. I'm sure a lot of you people who have been following Armchair Directors know about my anti-theater policy. I'm really enjoying watching movies at home on the home projector now because I have reached my limit, past my limit of dealing with inconsiderate people at movie theaters. Texting, other cell phone usage, popcorn chomping, seat kicking, talking, coughing. So I don't think I saw a single movie all year long. I've been waiting for Blu-rays all year long. And my original plan was to wait until episode 9 hit Blu-ray to watch episode 8 and 9 back to back because I felt like The Force Awakens was such an incomplete movie. And they're doing that a lot these days too with other movie franchises where it felt like I didn't get a complete movie. I got a partial movie and then I got to go and watch the rest of it, and I got to read a book and a comic book and play a game to get the full story. So for quite a while my plan was to wait until episode 9 hit Blu-ray to watch them back to back so I wouldn't have that 2-year gap of what's going to happen. Like Force Awakens left me with, completely dissatisfied. I really did not like Force Awakens, gave it a second chance, and liked it even less, so it wasn't just a knee-jerk reaction. But I was reading reviews for The Last Jedi, and so many of them, whether people loved it or whether they hated it, they seemed to have the same opinion of it, that it was definitive. And a lot of people were saying, where do you go from here? This felt like the final movie in a trilogy, not the middle one. They wrapped up a lot of things, and a lot of people were scratching their heads going, where do you go from here? And I thought, I could live with that for 2 years. 2 years of not caring what the next thing is going to be, not speculating, not left asking questions, and not feeling satisfied that I got a beginning, middle, and an ending, even though it's part of a trilogy. So the conditions were right for me. It was a morning show, 11:30 in the morning at a local theater. The audience was fairly well behaved. There were a couple texters in the audience. I felt like Luke Skywalker, though, just sitting there quietly waiting for someone else to deal with it, because I am always the guy who gets up and does something about everything that people are doing. And I didn't feel like doing anything today. And after a while, it took quite a while, but it was really cool to see some people finally be fed up and say, hey, stop doing that. Stop texting. Stop this. Stop that. There was a guy a couple seats over who coughed during the whole movie. So it wasn't a perfect theater going experience. That guy was a colossal moron. If you're sick, don't go to a theater. That's completely self-absorbed. It's not thinking, not using your brain. I'm going to go and ruin a movie for everybody because I want to see Star Wars. I was able to tune him out somewhat, though, and enjoy the movie that I watched. So I'm going to do 2 reviews of this, and Armchair Directors fans, don't worry. There will be an in-depth Armchair Directors discussion with Matthew Crandall in the coming weeks. But on my little solo channel, I'm going to do 2 reviews on this. Pretty much for my own memory, so I can review these when I get together to talk about it with Matt. I don't generally talk about movies very well without just blabbing out what happened. So this is going to be a short and very generalized review. It's just basically about my feelings about the movie. I liked it. I went in a little, maybe a lot apprehensive. Going to see the follow-up of The Force Awakens, a movie that I really did not enjoy, that really soured me on current-day Star Wars, and made me retreat further back into original trilogy-era Star Wars. I did not have high expectations for this. Also, the Mark Hamill warnings where he warned us. He fundamentally disagreed with everything Rian Johnson did with his character in this film. So I went in expecting more crap. Always hoping for the best, though. That's the important thing that I always try to keep in mind. that I don't go into a movie, even if I expect it's going to be bad, I don't walk out of it going, well, it was bad, even if it was potentially an enjoyable movie. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and it's no skin off my nose. If a movie is really well made, if it actually has some heart and soul and some wisdom to drop, I will usually enjoy it and appreciate it for the efforts that were made. So The Last Jedi is exactly that, despite everything that came before it, which I didn't like and I didn't buy into. I really enjoyed a lot of what I saw on the screen for The Last Jedi. Mark Hamill, the highlight, the absolute highlight of the movie. Finally, the heart and soul of Star Wars was back. One of the complaints that J.J. Abrams had about writing the script, Kasdan as well, I guess, the script of The Force Awakens, was that Luke just grabbed all the attention. Whenever they try to put Luke in the story, he grabbed all the attention, and we can't have that. It has to be about the new characters. And so they did what they did with Luke. They just made him a cameo at the end of the movie. Didn't even have a line. And that is beyond stupidity, in my opinion. Because there's two ways to look at it. Number one, if you're writing your script and every time Luke comes in, he steals all the attention and it's all about him, then make a movie about Luke Skywalker. You have this incredible, precious, powerful little entity known as Luke Skywalker, played by the original actor Mark Hamill. And you just decide we're not going to do that because we want this other stuff. You want two birds in the bush. What's the old expression? A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. You want those two birds in the bush instead of the one you have in your hand. And they decided we want to establish the new characters at the expense of this incredible experience we all could have had, a movie about Luke Skywalker. So that's the first way to look at it. It was very stupid to just remove Luke from a story because he threatened to steal the thunder of everybody else. I say let him. If that's what the character naturally feels like he's doing, let him. That's your main character. And you are so lucky to have a character like that can do that. Because how many movies have a character that will just captivate an audience, grab their attention, have them riveted? Not many movies. Beyond stupidity to shelve that character and say, no, we want to make this character special, Rey and Finn and Poe. Second way of looking at it is if you're writing your script and you think Luke is going to steal all the attention, maybe you're wrong. Things don't always end up on screen the way you thought they would be in the script. If every single movie ended up the way the writer and the director imagined it turning out, well, every single script that's written, the person who's writing it is expecting it to make tons of money and probably win a bunch of awards and make people fall in love with it worldwide and watch it over and over again for decades and decades. And that doesn't always happen, does it? So write your script, have Luke be in the story, and this little fear that the filmmakers had about he's going to steal all the attention, just ignore it. Slash through that Gordian knot. Just dismiss that silly idea because it might not even happen. He might be throughout the film and not steal the attention. Case in point, The Last Jedi. So no spoilers, like I said, for this one, but Luke does appear throughout the movie. It's not just a quick scene in the middle or a quick scene at the beginning and then a quick scene at the end, and that's it. I was completely satisfied by the amount of Luke Skywalker screen time here. He doesn't have a majority of the screen time, but I was very satisfied with what I saw on screen of Luke. I can't tell you what he did. That'll be in the spoiler review. But he didn't feel like he railroaded the whole movie. I didn't feel like when we cut to the other characters, hurry, get back to Luke, get back to Luke. Just the way that it was done, I was extremely satisfied. That's about all I have to say about the movie, really. I mean, everything else would be very, very vague, and I don't know how many people would find that interesting. Maybe there are some people who just want me to stand here and go, the space battles were great, and the acting was great, and the music was great. So I enjoyed it. It has its flaws, obviously. I mean, what movie doesn't? There's very few perfect movies there. But the important thing for me when I walk out of a movie is how I feel. On this channel and on Armchair Directors, I'm always talking about how the movie made me feel. Some good movies make me think about things, And I'm just kind of left pondering and wondering and speculating and philosophizing. But the best movies just give me this feeling I can't describe, this intangible, fuzzy feeling. Some of them are heart-filling movies, like Love Actually or Gifted. The Last Jedi wasn't a heart-filling movie, but I dare say it had possibly close to a heart-filling moment. It felt like those reviews I read, the final chapter. It didn't feel like the middle part of a new trilogy in an ongoing saga of never-ending corporate Star Wars movies. This felt like the closing chapter. And while it's not the way I would have done it, and it's not the way a lot of people would have done it, I felt satisfied that it was the closing of the book of the original trilogy era of Star Wars. Probably not the best way to cap that off. I mean, the best way to cap off the original trilogy was already done at the end of Return of the Jedi. But if we had to have an epilogue, something, a little follow-up 30 years later, I can't really complain too much. What they did with Leia, and especially Luke Skywalker in this movie, it worked for me. An expression I often use when something I just reject it. I think it's stupid, or it's lazy, or it lacks heart and soul, or it's not consistent. I'll go, that doesn't work for me, or it's not my cup of tea. But this movie, it worked for me, and I was expecting it not to. I had heard about the things that Luke did that were out of character, and yeah, I agree. They were out of character. But I have a couple theories on why that would be, or a couple explanations. It's just, I didn't despise it so much that I rejected it. I instead find myself going, how do we make this work? Because this isn't a complete pile of steaming dung. Anyway, that's my spoiler-free thoughts on The Last Jedi. If you have some spoiler-free thoughts yourself, scroll down and go to town, but be careful, be mindful, and be considerate. Don't post any spoilers down there, because the people watching this review haven't seen the movie yet and just want those general feelings on what to expect and not specific details. The Patreon tribe is growing strong in the Force. If you'd like to join up and help support the channel, visit the link in the show notes. And to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Nerd must stay.